If you walked out the door tomorrow, and I'm not saying do this, but if you did, could you take your clients with you? Or do they belong to the firm on your business card? And you guys know what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the DBA that you use. I'm talking about the firm that your name is actually attached to. Does that firm own it? If you aren't 100% sure of the answer, first of all, that should tell you something, or most of you are. If you already know the answer, does that bother you that the firm owns the client? So one more nuance here might be some of it's owned by me, some of it's not, right? We all know that. And do you think it might make sense for the client and you to get the not owned part moved over? So what I'm saying is if you don't own that business and you could move it to something that you do own and it makes sense for the client, why aren't we doing that? And if you did, would your company be upset if you started doing that? Why would they be upset? We should be asking these questions, right? So a quick story. I'll go back 22 years and I'll say I was fortunate enough to be able to be a good salesperson. I'm not saying financial advisor. I'm literally saying I was a good salesperson, right? And I did exactly what the company asked. And at one point, I did somewhere around, 400, 500, 600 company accounts consecutively in a row. Every new client got the same thing. What did I get for that? You all know the answer. I got trips, stock options, bonuses, benefit subsidies. I got promoted, the chance to attend conferences, all the things, right? Fast forward to several years later after that, obviously, I began to, we'll call it unwind some of that. More competitive products were available. I was not doing as many accounts into the company products. I was moving money for my clients into something that was lower cost. What do you think happened then? And I'll never forget this. The branch manager called me and said, I kind of want to do an imitation right now because he was yelling at me, but I'm not going to yell at the microphone. David, you moved 80 people in the last month into another account. I'm fighting off compliance right now for patterning. So think about that. My response was, was it patterning when I wrote 600 company products in a row? If anything, I'm reverse patterning, right? So point of this is I've been where you are. I built a practice at a captive firm. The nights, the weekends, the anytime, anywhere, I'm the person that's going to show up to get that done. And I felt like I earned every relationship the hard way. And I told myself the same thing. You probably tell yourself, these are my clients. And then I actually read my agreement, and obviously we all hear the stories of somebody trying to leave, so we know what's going to happen, or we think we know what's going to happen. And here's what I learned, and this is obviously a while back. Now we all know a lot more, but at the time, a lot of firms, you learn that book is not yours. It's theirs. The clients that you found, you nurtured, you closed, you showed up for, the firm treats them as company property, right? You leave and there's a real chance you leave alone, and that's what people are scared of. And sometimes you're not even allowed to tell your clients where you went, which is crazy. And just think about that for a second. You do all the stuff, you leave, can't say anything. Again, you did the work, they own the relationship. And it doesn't stop there. I'll name a few things you already might feel, but you haven't said out loud. And number one is that payout grid. Again, you bring in the revenue. They decide what slice you keep. You're not really in business for yourself. You're in business for them. I'll call it the shelf, right? The products. How many times have you recommended something because it was truly the best option versus because it's what you were allowed to offer? Good advisors feel that tension. It sits in your gut. By the way, if you know what's available. Some of us, I didn't even know what I didn't know, and I didn't know what was out there. I didn't know what was available, which actually didn't make me feel as bad, if that makes sense. Once you figure out what's out there and you're still doing that with the company, I couldn't do it anymore. I'm not going to speak for you, but think of this too. When is the last time a wholesaler or any representative from a competitive option was invited into your meetings? Does that ever happen? Probably not, right? Another thing to think about, we'll call it the handcuffs, the golden handcuffs. It might be deferred comp. It could be the trips. It's the old, why would I ever leave? Maybe there's some package that quietly keeps you where they want you, okay? I'm not here to tell you your firm is bad. It's probably not. And I'm not telling you to quit tomorrow. I'm just here to make you ask some questions you can't unask, right? And if everything you're building can be taken away from you the day you leave, whose business are you really building? And here's what changed everything for me. When I went to the independent world, that book became mine. Every relationship became mine when I moved those folks over, which is funny because the clients obviously have no idea this is happening, right? But the other thing, the decisions, everything that went into it, what I recommend, how I run my practice, what I change, and what I charge, all mine. And the value that I build now, I actually own, and I've done a bunch of videos on enterprise value of your practice and how much more valuable it is outside, right? That is also the difference between what we'll call renting your career and owning it. And what a lot of folks won't say, and we all know this. I'm not going to pretend the jump is nothing. It's hard. It's a real decision with real steps. I interviewed 40-something firms. I flew to their home offices. I did all of it. And I was scared to death, but I made it along with a tremendous amount of other advisors. And again, I'll say this. How many of us have ever wanted to go back? Okay? So here's my ask for you as the advisor. Don't take my word for it. Go read your own agreement if you don't already know it. If you need help with it, attorneys are out there that will help you go through it, and they'll tell you what you can and can't do. And many of them contradict themselves. I've seen just a few this week that in Section 1 they say one thing, and in Section 7 it actually negates what it said in Section 1, right? So if you go through it in detail with somebody that knows what they're doing and not just AI, that will be helpful. And what you want to know is the client ownership, the non-solicit, what actually happens to the book if you leave. And how many new advisors will you actually be fighting off after you leave? This, by the way, this is what I was somewhat scared of. I remember thinking, like, the minute I leave, they're going to have a team of people calling. And I remember being afraid of that. And I remember thinking they're going to get all my clients. And I'm here to tell you that doesn't happen. In fact, when the old firm does call, you should actually appreciate it because they are notifying your clients that you left. And guess who they find? And I'm talking about the clients. Guess who they find if you've not talked to them already? Those clients will find you. And it was amazing when the teams would have like a call night or whatever they wanted to call it. It was like 5 or 6 clients would call us and say, hey, I want to stay with you. So I would politely send them a thank you note, right? So we'll end that right there. Reach out to us. As always, any of this stuff as an advisor, it stays completely private. Again, I'm not a recruiter. I just am here to help advisors. I love doing this. You can text us, email us, book a confidential 15-minute intro call with me in the link below. Again, I'm not a recruiter. There's no pressure, just a conversation between advisors about what it looks like on the other side. You've built something real, and the only question is, where do we want to take it from here? I'll stop there. Make it a great day.
Content here is for illustrative purposes and general information only. It is not legal, tax, or individualized financial advice, nor is it a recommendation to buy, sell, or hold any specific security or engage in any specific trading strategy. All investing involves risk, including loss of principal. Results will vary. Past performance is no indication of future results or success. Market conditions change continuously. Information here is provided in part by third-party sources. These sources are generally deemed to be reliable. However, neither 6 Point Financial Partners, Private Client Services, nor RFG Advisory guarantee the accuracy of third-party sources. The views expressed here are those of 6 Point Financial Partners. They do not necessarily represent those of Private Client Services, RFG Advisory, their employees, or their clients. This commentary should not be regarded as a description of advisory services provided by 6 Point Financial Partners or RFG Advisory, or performance returns of any client. The views reflected in the commentary are subject to change at any time without notice. Securities offered by registered representatives through Private Client Services. Member FINRA SIPC. Advisory services offered by investment advisory representatives of RFG Advisory LLC, RFG Advisory, or RFG. A registered investment advisor. Private Client Services, 6 Point Financial Partners, and RFG Advisory are unaffiliated entities. Advisory services are only offered to clients or prospective clients where RFG Advisory and its representatives are properly licensed or exempt from licensure. No advisory services may be rendered by RFG Advisory unless a client agreement is in place.